Beautiful. This part of our sermon this morning is from the Gospel according to Detective Pikachu. In the movie Detective Pikachu, an ace detective, Harry Goodman, goes mysteriously missing, prompting his 21-year-old son, Tim, to find out what happened to Dad. In a neo-noir world that looks partially like Tokyo and partially like London, humans are paired with Pokemon, seemingly cute but powerful and mysterious creatures. You may have more recently seen them, and this was my introduction, in the Pokemon Go game, Gotta Catch 'Em All, that came out on smartphones, I think, a couple years ago. In fact, I believe Troop had like a Pokemon gym or some sort of, I don't know, beacon for the Pokemon nearby. Am I remembering? Okay, here's see some nods. So anyway, aiding Tim in his investigation to look for his dad is Detective Pikachu, a type of Pokemon, a yellow rodent-like creature with electric-like charges, powers in his tail. As far as we know, all Pokemon speak a language that humans cannot understand, sort of a cute murmuring to our ears, or Pika Pika. But somehow Tim is the only human who can converse with Pikachu. When everyone else, it sounds just like Pika Pika. Early in the story, I promise I'm not giving too much away if you're gonna go run out and see it. Tim is reluctant to believe his father is alive, but Pikachu, in a language only Tim, again, can understand, believes his dad to be with us. How can you be so sure? Tim asks. Because I feel it in my jellies, Pikachu remarks. Before they are whisked away by some encounter with other Pokemon, Tim is confused, not knowing what these jellies are. Catherine Keller, a theologian, a feminist, writes about mystery and theology and says that all our concepts and names are finite. Creaturely spoken, language by creatures, based strictly on creaturely experience, and so radically different from the mystery that God or Spirit names. The creature of Pikachu, who is so physiologically distinct from Tim and any other humans, whose language is already imperceptible to most. Pikachu is trying to put language to a feeling that is not experienced the same way as humans understand themselves, and maybe not even fully understood by Pikachu. I can just feel it in my jellies. That's where it is. I can sense it, but I can't name it. I can only move toward it. Explore with me what this mystery brings us. New language, new metaphors to name the clues that are guides along our journey. What if spirit was what we feel in our jellies, like Pikachu? What if God was vibration, movement at the cellular level, the motion of a plant sprouting a new branch ever so slowly, air passing through the systems of bronchioles inside our lungs, the stirrings of a creature in its chrysalis, becoming. Keller writes that every religion has its mystical tradition within it, its language of mystery, where words point to the silence. For me this week, it has been the words of Toni Morrison that I've revisited, keeping my stack of Toni Morrison books nearby. If I had to perceive of what the mystical tradition of Troop is, my guess would it be our words from our promise to our planet, towards our learning garden, the language of mystery in that promise, our minds ruminating on the ways to protect the earth's sacred and scarce resources, offering protection, not trying to govern, ruminating and not fully knowing. 16 centuries ago, Augustine wrote that if you have understood, then what you have understood is not God. Which brings us to the cult movie classic, The Big Lebowski. There's a scene near the end, and I promise this, again, is not a complete spoiler if you've never seen it. There's a scene at the end of two best friends, the main characters of the film, named Walter and the Dude. Walter and the Dude are grieving the loss of someone close to them. They bring the ashes out to a bluff south of Los Angeles to bid him farewell. Walter offers a brief eulogy, rambling about things that have more to do with himself than possibly the life of the friend. The Dude hands him a Folgers coffee can, which contains the ashes. And Walter lifts the coffee can into the air, declaring he was a good bowler and a good man. Opens the can and begins to pour the ashes out, but the wind picks up, bringing most of the ashes flying behind Walter right into the Dude's beard and mustache and nose. The Dude abides, motionless and silent. Walter eventually looks back in horror to see his friend covered in the off-gray remains. They exchange curse words, each blaming each other for the poor conclusion to the ritual. Walter may not have heeded the Dude's warnings to notice his surroundings, the wind on the cliffside, the inelegance of pouring from a Folgers can, and moreover, that pouring out the ashes might not deliver the results, the feelings that friends long for. Walter couldn't rouse his grief nor the wind to turn. They shrugged and returned to their normal activities, a day at the bowling alley. I wish I had remembered this scene and Walter's error in judgment on a windy December day in 2009, to be exact. I had wanted to honor the anniversary of my own brother's death. Usually this anniversary came and went, barely recognized or honored in the business of December holidays and the end of the semester. But that year, I decided I'd like to create a ritual that would help me to bring about, to draw out those feelings of loss that had begun to fade but were still unsettled, to hopefully bring about relief from carrying memory with me. So I hiked up to a hillside to a beautiful clearing. I brought a cedar box of dirt, not a Folgers can. I'll spare you most of the details. You see where this is headed, right? Yes, the ill-fated ritual ended about the same as it did for Walter and the Dude. The wind picked up and my hair and face, jacket were covered. Like Walter, I didn't feel relief. My soul was not stirred. Despite all my attempts to do it right, the chance of transformative feelings had gone into the wind as well. I couldn't just make it happen. Now, the character of Walter doesn't appear to feel shame about what happened to him, but this was a huge piece of my own aftermath. I was ashamed I couldn't rouse the mysterious, that my drama had done nothing for my trauma, that I was not closer to my brother nor myself. Unsuccessful, I wasn't closer to God. I couldn't force myself to have the feelings, the vibration of spirit, or emergence from a chrysalis. My grief, like all of life, is part of a more open system. Even Unitarian Universalists, we, the free-thinking mystics with hands, as the Reverend Tom Owentoll puts it, can on occasion slip into the closed system kind of thinking about religion. We might, in our enthusiasm for the principles, claim that we're the real deal, getting spirituality exactly right. Or that perhaps if the shared American telos or goals was more like Unitarian Universalism, then we'd be out of the mess we're in. If only people who opposed gun control or support for immigration would come to our church, come to understand as we do, maybe they'd see that we've got it right. Whether you believe in God or not, Catherine Keller writes, this sort of certitude separates us from the power of mystery, the reasonable belief that we don't have it all figured out, that we can contribute to wonder. We may feel inspired by the still, small voice within to do something to witness, to mingle our own voices, to creatively participate. Mystics groove on inspiration, but they reject that mystery could be absolute. They're not these fake ashes over that cliffside. The idea that to name the infinite like some specific person or entity or experience or force it to happen would be the same thing as faith. We may be separated from the mystery by the certainty of our own liberal religious voice. When we slip from the edge of a beautiful chaos where we see beauty for all that it is and think that we've got the only antidote to pain. We may also be diverted from mystery when we're fed the line that a God is responsible for suffering and injustice around us or in our lives, that we just have to trust in one version of events, a disguised attempt to keep us from questioning power, an easy way to keep us compliant. I know that we are not certain why 3 shootings occur in 1 week, or why one man was granted asylum after remaining in Mexico when the waiting list grows. But we have enough knowledge of history, context, and power of observation to grasp what is right in front of us. That power materializes, and the powerful influencers may try to obscure, distract, or patch over mystery. My friends, I hope that you will not listen to the voices that tell us that tragedies within our current predicament are some holy mystery, for I believe that is a lie. When people of whatever faith step out, move away from mystery and make claims for our truth and our beliefs, we can get stuck in somewhat of a two-way mirror with the attitudes that ask us to accept our own or others' suffering as inevitable. We are rendered indifferent. But we can find in faith and in community the agency to imagine alternatives, things that are of the Spirit that have yet to be languaged. In more recent years, in my Decembers, I have found a way to honor my brother, but it takes place in the ordinary, in the being with others, in the quiet moments surrounded by the bustling of holidays or grading papers. It's imperfect. It's unfinished. And there's always something just beyond my reach, all that makes it holy. I had to let go of the presumption that I could reign over what would tremble me, what would provoke those feelings that Walter and I were trying to access. I couldn't overpower it, but I could participate in it. I could learn a piece of music over time and let it enter us. We can participate in it. Mystery must enter first, not through the dramatic or the unique, but through the practice of noticing. Like our beads instruct us in doing. What mystery brings us is beauty in the midst of it all, through the incomprehensible joy and wisdom and wonder of Spirit leaking into our lives. All the names we have for it sound something like love and justice. Here at Troop, we come together to make something, to feel something in community. Here we explore the breath, we gather our beads and practice. Creatively, we engage with mystery. May we turn to face the ashes, face injustice, embrace change and uncertainty, allow ourselves to breathe with the wind and feel it in our jellies, and hear that call of the voice still and small.
This is number 398, To See the World.